Robinhood Radio presents award-winning author John Neufeld with Side Effects.
We managed to get through Memorial Day, a holiday that has traditionally meant more to us all than most. We did it by trying to ignore our dear leader, who spent his day on the golf course and at home retweeting political insults and slurs. Nary a mention of the deaths and hardships of a nation at war, of its sacrifices and victories, or its losses, let alone our daily battle now against the virus that steals thousands from families without apology. We've hunkered down and, like ravening vultures, kept track of the statistical figures and probabilities. Milestones have been passed in nearly complete public silence. And as the death toll in the United States has daily risen, we've waited to hear anguished, angry protestations. We've also expected the public and Congress to somehow move against the near total silence that has permitted an unprecedented villain to continue to flourish, to continue to get away without a scrape on his shield. We've also watched totally ignorant and selfish citizens in states across the nation as they have not thanked their own leaders for their good efforts to keep their citizenry alive and safe, gathering on state house steps or in forbidden swimming pools, and in effect shouting, "Down with socialism! Hands off Medicare!" Some of these energized people carry weapons and brandish them threateningly against not just their own elected leaders, but also against the very voters, their former friends and neighbors, who elected their leader. Trump marches on. That is not a movie tone headline in a newsreel or on our own smaller screens. How much longer are Americans of any and all persuasions going to allow this illiterate to hide in the White House, unblamed, unimpeached? We tried that, but suppose we try it again now. Now that would be a real first. Vengeful, replete with lies of all sorts, he can't breathe clearly without uttering one. Has the entire US of A decided a king is better than no one at all? The press is not helping, providing statistics each morning and evening by color. How many in red states have died? How many in blue? And what do these figures mean to the nation? That part is easy. Those who died in blue states are clearly black, brown, Asian, poor, lazy, and deserving of their fate. Those who died in red states aren't even mourned. Dear Leader's base, apparently, is of the opinion that those who die will miraculously resurface in the fall. This seems to be a new twist on evangelicalism. That base, incidentally, is a large part of the public to whom financial relief was promised. There are a few widely separated unemployed, both red and blue, who dare to mention that their checks have not arrived. The financial wizards on Dear Leader's team make nice sounds and continue to promise. The families of all color, rural and urban, continue to wait and hope. One might think that after 3+ years of hearing extravagant boasts and promises without anyone lifting a finger to help them come to life, Dear Leader's base would have understood that Dear Leader doesn't give a damn about them. What confuses so many of us new bankrupts is how the base could not have understood they were being played and are still being played. We have a new sympathy for followers of Dear Leader, even though we still can't believe their willingness to let him sit in the White House, spending their money, assisting industrial giants and his pals, all the while promising assistance to the rest of the nation. But we can finally understand how and why they voted as they did. They desperately needed to believe in someone. With the country in a depression that need not have happened, they still do. They, and we, are unaccustomed to American leaders who operate only for their own financial well-being. As more and more congressional and cabinet members are unmasked, as it were, we're not at all sure how to respond. Republicans are afraid of getting off the gravy train. Democrats stand by mutely, wishing they had one. The biggest problem, apart from the scientific assault of the virus, is that Dear One is not improving with age or experience. He seems randomly to select topics to expose to the press whenever he needs help, evading public attention of his ineptitude and corruption. He fires, which may be bad enough, but not always, and then he hires, but always just temporarily, which is usually worse, and even more brambles snared in the undergrowth of favoritism and nepotism. And Dr. Fauci aside, Dear One refuses to share any press attention or even public notice with anyone whose point of view is reasonable or different from his own. It is the fear and suspicion of millions of voters that by declaring the likelihood of voter fraud, Dear One will conjure that too, to keep us all from realizing he's again using subterfuge and unfounded conspiracy theories to present himself as a victim, a hero beset by uncomprehending voters who are unable to appreciate him as he deserves. We think that finally millions across the nation are beginning to appreciate him exactly for what he is and isn't. There may be hope on the horizon. I'm John Neufeld.
All opinions on side effects are those of John Neufeld and do not represent necessarily the opinions of Robin Hood Radio, robinhoodradio.com, CATV6, or any of the employees, volunteers, or underwriters of Tri-State Public Communications.